Hi, welcome to my channel if you've not been here before, and thanks for following me if you have. And this week I'm going to talk about the soul's journey after death. I'm going to talk about the tunnel of light, about crossing over, about some of the things we experience as we die. And thanks to the people that have asked me in the comments column below, have asked me to requested this video, so I'll do it. So if you have any requests, please do leave them in the comments below. Now, just before I proceed, one of my predictions came true this week. I noticed, well, last couple of weeks it's come over. I made my predictions every September the year before, so these were made in September 2018, and now we're in January the 30th 2019. So I made a prediction about Scotland, and you can have a look on my other video if you want to check it out. We're on my website at psychics.co.uk. But the actual words I said, I talked about there was going to be corruption in the news regarding Scotland, and I said I feel somehow Nicola Sturgeon is implicated. I'm just reading it off my website here. It reflects on her. It makes her look bad. In Scotland there will be scandal politics, something big that will break up the Scottish National Party. There may be people deliberately trying to compromise Scotland. Russia may be involved. Did you see the news? Alex Salmond, the once head of the Scottish National Party, is in court with all sorts of allegations being thrown at him about sexual harassment. He's being drawn all over the press. Nicola Sturgeon is horrified by what's going on. It's all over the press that her position has been in jeopardy because of this too. So I seem to have got it right with that prediction, it seems. But the bit that hasn't come true, because even my own predictions, I sometimes wonder what comes to me when I do them, because I just give these predictions and then I almost have to look back on them and say, what was on my mind? The thoughts about Russia may be involved. I wonder if someone is deliberately trying to undermine them. Anyway, going to move on now and talk about what lies beyond, what happens in the soul's journey. Oh, and by the way, don't forget, if you like this channel, Jane and I are now, this week particularly, we've been doing an awful lot of doing live on Facebook Live. So I'll put the link in here somewhere, probably put it below in the editing. And so you can follow Jane and I, come on and ask questions, talk to us live. We go live usually it varies, about 7:30 UK time, which is difficult for people in some places of the world. But sometimes we go on a bit later, sometimes we go on earlier, sometimes we go on for a few hours. But you can talk to us there, ask your questions, and we do a bit of clairvoyance sometimes and all sorts. So join our little community, and do please always put your comments below, because they're so helpful, not just for me but for others that visit, and they can come as sort of a forum in their own right. Okay, thanks for listening, and here's my talk. I get a lot of questions sent in. Here's my little list again, and the question this time has been, someone's asked, not so much a question, but can you tell us, she said, can you tell me about the soul's journey after death? What happens? Well, actually that's quite a long thing to explain, but I'll tell you a couple of bits that I find particularly interesting, and some of the ideas that have been on my mind recently. Now as mediums, of course, we spend a lot of our time giving proof of life after death, and most of the work we do is to give comfort, to prove that the person's there. And sometimes during our work we get little glimpses sometimes about what the other side is like, and what the feeling of the afterlife must be like, to be there. And we get kind of little hints of it in the messages that the spirits give to other people. And each medium, I think, begins to build up a picture of what the next world is like. And I actually think there are multiple next worlds, actually. There are different levels. There are worlds between worlds within worlds in the next world, as it were. What the medium is connecting with is the first levels, the earliest levels, the levels that are most similar to the earthly plane. So the journey of the soul, when we die, goes to those first levels, and I think then people can go on to higher levels still, into the levels of the gods, as it were. because depending on the evolution of the soul of each person has a level of spiritual evolution. You can, if your soul has evolved quite a lot, if you're a highly conscious person, be able to move higher up into higher realms of the spirit. But most people will enter the first realms of the afterlife, which are very, very similar to this world, but similar without a lot of the problems, I think, that we don't have when we enter the next life, the same problems with the physical body that we have here. And that was perhaps the most important part of the soul's journey, is the first step of the soul's journey is the actual leaving the physical body. Now, none of us like the concept of dying. I'm needle phobic, for example. Even that gives me the shudders. The idea of dying and all the operations and things that go on at the end of life, I find quite horrible, and sure everybody does. So the first step on the journey to the next life has to be to go through those difficulties, the dying process. But, you know, funnily enough, when I speak to people on the spirit side and they give messages, they'll often describe in detail the illnesses that they had in this life. You know, they say, I died of brain tumours, or I died of, you know, stomach cancer and lung cancer and so on, all these different things that I give as part of the verification. And I've noticed that the spirit people almost always say, well, it wasn't so bad as I thought it was going to be. It was, I looked terrible, but I didn't suffer as much as you thought I did. You know, that often is the message that comes through. And that's not me just making something up to be comforting to the person. That's the genuine messages I hear from the spirit person, who almost say it's almost no big deal, the dying process. You know, I'm sure I think it now is a big deal, but, you know, they seem to say that you kind of enter a state of transcendence to the dying process, as if, you know, the body's dying, but we're watching it and we're not that concerned. It's almost sort of like you know, you're just watching it. You know, you're just observing. You know. So hopefully that's going to be the first step of the journey, and that is the first step when the spirit, the life force in us, leaves the physical frame. So what do we take this journey in then? So, you know, well, we talk about the astral body. A lot of mediums, a lot of psychics all agree on this idea that there is both the physical body and these other layers to the physical body. The most important one being, we could sum up as perhaps being the spirit, the case of the spirit, which we call the astral body, right? So when I'm, for example, looking at an aura of somebody around their physical body, I'm seeing an aspect of that astral body. I'm seeing the energy field, you know, that energy field that some clairvoyantly psychic people can see, that energy field. Again, it's non-material, so we haven't been able to measure it as such, although Kirlian photography claims to, but I'm not so sure about that. I'm not sure, but we can kind of see it. And I mean, I see it with my physical eyes, and I don't care what the skeptics say, I see the damn thing. So, you know, I have to accept that it's real, as other psychics and mediums do as well. So we've got this astral body. It's kind of an energy equivalent of the physical body in some ways. It's like a duplicate of the physical body, except it's astral. It's spirit. And they say it has all the qualities of the physical body, including an astral copy of the nerves and the arteries and the organs, and everything that makes up the physical frame is in that astral body in an astral form. It's like a photocopy of ourselves, except in this other spiritual form. And that's what we travel into the next life in. I would sometimes argue that maybe it's not quite as that when we enter there. I think perhaps our physical body might even break down. You know, our astral body might break down into more of a body of pure light, and those qualities of needing hearts and things are no longer required. But I'm sure we, at the initial stage, take with us an astral body that's just like us. So when we enter the spirit, where we look at our hands and say, there I am, I'm still here. Well, you know, I'm still the same person. And it probably feels of being just like physically being alive, except perhaps you're light and you can float and you can move in directions like in a dream, you know, because I believe the next world, the journey in the next world, is a bit like a very, 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 very more than reality vivid dream, right? And not an illusion, but a reality, a dreamlike state. It's a bit like traveling in a lucid dream. So that is the vehicle that we travel into the next world in. And this is when people go through into the next state, they usually experience a breaking from this world of the idea of this tunnel of light that is often being described in the near-death experiences of people. Now, those that are new to that, a near-death experience is when someone has basically flatlined. The heart stopped, the brain stopped, all the functions of the body stopped, even the brain's not working. Sometimes people are pulled back from that brink, and this is a near-death experience, and they were actually physically dead. Their brains weren't working, and yet they have these recall of going down a tunnel of light and seeing the next life there. And those accounts have been very interesting. You can look them up on the web. But, they talk about people come to a garden gate and they see their grandmother stood there, or they see these different visions of entering the next world. They see beautiful garden-like places, fantastic landscapes. And I'm sure perhaps that is all, the next world is perhaps the reality is very liquid, as it were, very mouldable, very plasticine, in that it moulds according to our perception. In this world, we have an objective world that's very real. Perhaps the reality, the spirit, the objective world and the inner world are one and the same, and yet they have the same reality. Right? That's one thought. So just, I can talk for hours and hours and hours on this because I've written books about it, as you know. But so we travel there in our astral body. Now, also, I'm just going to also mention here too that there is also part of the vehicle of our consciousness. There is also what we call the causal body. Within the astral, there is another being, what we call the causal body. This is like that enclosed the soul itself. And the astral body changes from lifetime to lifetime. So like I suggested earlier, maybe the astral body changes when we get into the afterlife. We no longer need to have the physical duplicate of the physical body. And within each lifetime, the new astral, every time we are reborn, because we go to the spirit world, I believe, and I believe that's proven too, but we go to the spirit world and then reincarnate again in future lives, a new astral body is created, right, in accordance with the physical body that we're going to be born into. But we also have a causal body. This is the spirit body. This is like, I suppose, like a point of light almost. It's the encasement of the soul that never changes. That will take us from lifetime to lifetime. It's the overself. It's that part of ourselves that actually is never really born in such. It is that part of ourselves, that essence of ourselves. We can connect with it both in this world and in the next, where the actual soul lives. So we have three basic bodies. We have the physical body, we have the astral body, we have the causal body. And those three things are our boat, are our ship into the afterlife that take us on that incredible journey. And of course, I've taken you to the gates of the afterlife through the idea of the tunnel of light. And there's so much more too, so much more we can discover in the worlds that lie beyond. But that would have to be for other videos because you can't do it all in one. But anyway, there's some basic, simple ideas about the journey from this life into the next. And let me reassure those that have lost somebody that this journey is so often described as so beautiful, so absolutely extraordinary, that I have rarely come across any spirits that have said it's not an easy journey. It's a beautiful journey. People fear that their loved ones don't cross over, and I'm sure all beings cross over. We just follow that light. It's like a pull of love that is so strong, so intense, so safe, so enveloping. It's a bit like God appearing in the mother form, and just like a mother will never let that baby go, would be so powerfully contacted. That's what happens when we die, I feel. It's like the mother aspect of nature takes us and will carry that baby through hell and hell water. It will never let go, will take us to the next world in absolute and total safety. Every soul has that opportunity. Okay, that's my concepts for the next life. You notice I mentioned things there like hell and things like that. I'll have to explain some of those things in a longer video. See you next time. If you enjoyed this video, then follow Jane and I on our adventures around the world by subscribing. You can click that button, or you can click the little bell thingy on the main page, and then you'll get regular updates every time we upload something new. Like the page and also make your comments. We look forward to seeing you next time.